People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, in today's episode, we have an amazing guy, a true Renaissance man, former volunteer firefighter, an award-winning bodybuilder, a creator of haunted houses, a multiple award-winning magician. He's even fooled Penn and Teller, and he created one of the most unique acts during COVID when he performed as his Zoom when he performed as his character Richard Preston. Everybody, it's Stuart MacDonald. Woo! What's up, buddy? How are you?
Wow, I'm doing good. Just chilling in this morbidly hot, humid weather here in Michigan.
Oh, man, we had a huge thunderstorm come through here, so it's actually kind of chilly here in Virginia.
Yeah, you guys are getting pounded.
I was afraid we were going to lose electricity for tonight's podcast, but we're good. We're good to go.
Okay, well,
So,
that's good.
so how you been? Bookings coming through? Everything coming back in now that COVID's pretty much behind us?
Not really. Everything's really slow. It's like it fits and starts. It's like, oh, hey, you've got a whole bunch of bookings. Nothing.
Wow.
So I have a few things spotty here and there. I'll be in Spain doing 17 shows from late December to the middle of January, so that'll be really cool.
That's awesome.
So that's the kind of work that I'm kind of holding out for. So it's kind of weird. I'm not the kind of person that sits tight, but that's really all you can do.
Right.
Just sit tight and I could spend a lot of money on marketing to try to force it open, and as I can't. So we just gotta kind of ride it out a little bit. So.
And from what I know about you, you're a go-getter like me. I mean, you're always up and about. You don't sit around and wait for things to happen. So it's killing you. And we had twin babies born during the pandemic. So, I mean, it was very scary as a father wanting to be a supporter of, a bigger family and, do it only through magic. It's super scary, and you're sitting here with your hands tied. It's awful.
Yeah, I concur. I mean, I don't have kids, but, it's, you do what you can, and you can control what you can control, and that's really about all you can do. I've had multiple people, tell me that, who've been around for a very long time, longer than I've been on this planet. He just said, don't worry, it'll come back. And I keep on hearing the Roaring 20s.
Yep.
Yeah.
I keep hearing that over and over. And so what does the Roaring 20s look like? I don't know. It could be great. It could be really weird. I don't know, but I think it's going to be fine.
Well, my wife says that Roaring 20s is great, but we're going to squirrel everything away we can because the Depression hit right at the end of the 20s.
Right. As long as it doesn't end like the other Roaring 20s, we'll be great. So.
Yeah. And then after that, a world war and.
Right. Exactly.
Well, let's get back to.
Let's be happy here.
Let's restart this podcast. Hey, everybody, it's Stuart MacDonald. We went negative real fast. Anyway, I don't even know where to start with you, man. We could talk about magic, but I want to talk about other stuff because I want to save the majority of the time for magic because your magic is so awesome. I'm a big fan, dude. But I was following you on Facebook, and I saw an advertisement for a bodybuilding documentary that you did a while back. And 2014, maybe? Is that when it came out?
That was the second installment of I Want to Look Like That Guy, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what was the first installment?
Oh, you haven't seen the first one?
I saw the first one. I didn't see the second one. I saw you win the award, and you asked the guy to train you for the first time.
Yeah, that one I made in 2009. It finished in 2009. It took 2 years to make that. And then the follow-up was called I Want to Look Like That Guy, Fat and Bloated Again. And what we wanted to do this time was to take the same exact regimen, except tweak a few things so that it would be a functional body. A bodybuilding body isn't very functional. It's just pretty. And you're miserable all the time. So what would it look like to have a functional body? So we wanted to do something that was outrageous and that proved that the body was functional. So I did an Ironman.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And it's actually a half Ironman, which is still pretty impressive. It's like 76 miles.
Oh.
And I did so well. The team that I was on got first place, and I qualified for the Pan American Games.
Wow.
Wow, Stuart.
And then, in the 2 weeks prior to that, I had won in my division the oldest triathlon in the United States, which was in Toledo, Ohio, and it was a sprint triathlon. And I smoked everybody in the biking. And I didn't do so well in the others, but on a bike, I'm a madman. And that's what I was like, okay, that's my strength. So I proved that the body is very plastic, and you can do different things with it. And that documentary didn't take 2 years to make. It only took a year, 6 months of training.
Did you use the same trainer?
Yep, same trainer.
Were you as miserable as the first time?
No, not at all.
Oh, good.
The only misery I experienced was after, it's called the Steelhead, which is, you swim in Lake Michigan and you ride your bike up and down the coast of Michigan. And when I was done, we all were running in 95-degree, 100% humidity weather. And the 52-mile bike ride was one thing, but it was the half marathon that killed everybody, because they call it like it felt like you had stones in your stomach, because all the gelatin that you were trying to get down your throat to give you some quick energy, your digestive system shut down because it was putting all of its energy into cooling the body off. So we had this sloshy goo that was just in our guts, and everybody was just miserable.
Wow.
So,
Goodness.
yeah, the half marathon is the end, and when I was done, I've never felt that kind of pain before. I mean, I sat in a chair, and I thought I had to go to the hospital. I just said, guys, I can't move. I've got nothing left in me. I've never known that kind of pain before.
Goodness.
So, but I was totally fine the next day. Not sore at all.
Wow.
So,
wow, you just overheated. It was just a overheated situation.
With the
it was, well, I mean...
with
and
the
exhaustion.
nastiness in the belly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, 76 miles.
Oh.
And I think I did it in 7 hours.
Goodness.
So it's like 7 hours of just constantly moving your body as fast as you can. But that was, I've never had my gas tank empty. I'll just tell you one quick story about it. I was, I never knew what it would be like to have your body get energy simply from your mouth, not your gut. And I tested at every weigh station, what was working. It's like the water just helped a little bit, but it made the goo in my stomach slushier, but it was pretzels. And the pretzels had salt in it, so that kind of gave me a little bit of a recharge because I was sweating everything out. And every time I had a pretzel, I could run a mile.
Wow.
Before I had to go, before all my energy was gone. So it's like 3 pretzels is good for a mile, and then I had to walk. I was done.
Oh, goodness.
Completely. Yeah.
Well, I don't know anything about marathons or triathlons. How far apart are the way stations?
Gosh, I think they're every 3 miles.
Okay.
So I was able to run the first 8 miles, and then the last were just misery, total misery. But I had a strong finish. You know, you had everybody with the bells and everything running the gauntlet. And,
Well, we have something to watch tonight. You got to tell me where we can get this. Where can people buy part 1 and part 2 at?
You go to jeffwillette.com.
How do you spell Willette?
Willet. He has 2 sites. It's jeffwillettepremium.com and jeffwillette.com. Try each one of those. I think the premium one is the one that has the second documentary on it. And it's on Vimeo. It's a download.
Well, I'm telling you, all we saw so far was the first one. And when you said you tweaked things for the second documentary, I was getting ready to say, did you add the cookie theory in it? What was the cookie theory? You were trying to just eat cookies and be a bodybuilder? I didn't understand it last night.
Well, I don't really know what the cookie thing was.
You just wanted a cookie.
Yeah, I just wanted a cookie because I like cookies. And the experiment was, if I had these cookies, is it going to ruin my my diet for the week? And then I recall in the movie, I went to Jeff and I said, okay, I did a cookie experiment. He shook his head like, why?
Right.
I just wanted to have cookies.
Yeah.
And he said, look, one meal like that, if you are, how many meals are we're doing 6 meals a day, 6 times 7 is 42 meals in a week, and if one of those has cookies in it, do you think it's going to matter? If you're 100% on all the others, you said, no, don't worry about it. Just move forward. Just don't make a habit of it, you idiot. Off you go.
But other than that and the burrito, I mean, you were 100% to that diet, man. And it was phenomenal. It was crazy. You were emotional in the video. I mean, it was...
Oh.
Did you win awards for this documentary? Did you guys put it anywhere?
Yeah, we were in the state championships, and I got second in my division. I think I won 2 awards. I can't remember what the other one was. But yeah, it was. I was pretty darn lean. I think it was 2 weeks before. I think I was 8 or 6% body fat, and at the acceleration that I was at, we were probably around 4% body fat. I couldn't go much lower without having, real danger of doing bad things to my body.
Well, what I was saying was it was amazing. Did the documentary get a lot of credit? Did you guys sell a lot of copies? Did you win awards for the documentary?
No, we didn't win awards for the documentary, but we were selected for the first Arnold Schwarzenegger Sports Film Festival, and got to meet Arnold. And
oh my gosh!
It premiered there, and I think we didn't sell as many as there's a story about it. I think we sold 30,000 copies. But the problem was that it was right when YouTube was becoming a thing, and some bozo put it on YouTube. He ripped the DVD, put it on YouTube, and we tried to take it down, and YouTube didn't have the rights privileges and all that, and we were screaming at him, take it down, and we were watching our sales just plummet. And then Pirate Cove got wind of it, and that's when our sales went to 0. But it became the most downloaded fitness video of all time.
I imagine.
Wow,
I mean, the work that you guys put into it and the work you did, I mean, you transformed your body like I've never seen documented. It was amazing. You know, there's no Photoshop. It was right there. You know, the guy in the magazine. How much of that is Photoshopped? Your video was fantastically amazing. It was awesome. Awesome.
Well, thanks.
Kudos. I'm 12 years late to the show, but I just saw it. But man, good job.
Well, I'll tell you, even after, like when we were putting these together, the press packets, my friends were telling me, nice Photoshop of your head on top of somebody else's body, and I got so mad. And it happened all the time. People were saying you took steroids. And I'm like, really? Steroids are supposed to make you bigger. I got down to 150 pounds.
Yeah, the crazy thing was, see, I love bodybuilding. I'm a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. I never got that big. I just figured I couldn't without steroids and whatever. I never had the proper training, whatever. Excuses, whatever. But man, when you were up on that stage and you were posing and they called your name and they're like, yeah, you need to go get drug tested. I was like, whoa, they didn't do that ahead of time? They only did the top 2 get drug tested? Wow, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome that they're doing it. That makes it fair for everybody.
Well, it's usually the leanest people get drug tested because that's part of the signature of a steroid.
Oh.
Yeah. The guys that are fat and flabby and blubbery on stage, and it's like, I say fat and flabby and blubbery, it could be like the difference between 4% body fat and like an 8% body fat is gigantic on stage.
Right. Yeah.
And it looks like, oh, that guy, he's got a pot belly. What the heck is he doing on stage?
Yeah, the fat guy with 8%. Wow. Well, 2 more questions and I'll leave you alone. Did your trainer get crazy through the roof? Did he get all kinds of people wanting to look like you? And is your picture hanging in his gym now?
Still.
Where he trained you?
Well, he doesn't have the gym anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, he's moved on to other things. But other people wanted to do the program. It became kind of a thing, and those people did well too. They didn't do well as me, but it's a real personal quest, and it got real frustrating for Jeff because he was running a business, and this was just a project, and he didn't have the time to commit to, lots of people doing it, and so the movie just kind of became lore after a while. I've had people from every corner of the planet, from Singapore to Australia. As a matter of fact, there's a huge population in Australia that have worshipped me in the gyms. And I'm like, really? I'm not a bodybuilder. Like, yes, you are. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not a bodybuilder. I did it as a documentary. It was like, still, it's exactly what we wanted. And it's pretty funny. It's been matter of fact, a guy wanted to do a podcast of me again to relive the whole thing all over again. So it's like it's getting popular again. Somehow people are finding it again, which is cool.
Well, we were blown away, man. I mean, the determination, like I said, we were on that journey with you, and I'm very sensitive as well, especially when I'm tired, and you cried at one point or got close to crying at one point. I mean, you showed your low points. You showed everything, dude. You didn't pull back, and that's what we loved about it. It was awesome. Fantastic. JeffWillette.com. Guys, go buy it. Go check it out. Support Stu because, man, amazing. Before we get to magic, I want to get on this stuff. Stuart, the reason we're so into working out and everything on our end, and we're nowhere near in shape you were on that video.
Nope.
But Natalie just had a set of twins. We're on stage. People are looking at us all the time. She has to fit in boxes. We have to get back in shape, but we have to do it correctly and, different things because how do you explain your stomach issue?
Oh, it's called diastasis recti, so ab separation. When you have babies, sometimes, especially twins, you have multiple babies, your abs can separate. So you have to do special exercises. And when you have it, your belly kind of pooches still. So I still have a belly pooch because I have the diastasis recti issue, which sucks because they're 8.5 months old. And I'm like, man, why can't I bounce back like other people? But, you know.
But we're on the road working, you know, driving to shows 20 hours a day. And what do you want when you're exhausted, tired, just trying to get home? You want sugar just for that immediate rush, just to stay awake, just for the next 10 miles, you know? So it's hard to eat right and be on the road all the time, man. So excuses, and you did it, man. And kudos. God bless you. We loved it. I want to talk. I want to talk about your haunted houses before we get into magic, because I want to save most of the time for magic. You met Arnold. I'm super jealous of that. You got 4% body fat, super ripped. I'm super jealous of that. You met Tom Savini. Did you hire him for an autograph signing at your haunted house?
Yeah, actually, we were the only haunted house that he has ever accepted to come to.
Dude, I'm super jealous of that. I love Tom Savini. Golly. So what was the name of your haunted house, and what was it like?
It was called The Haunting. And the reason why he wanted to come out, and he made a big deal out of it, he said, I get calls for people all the time to come to these haunted houses to do, autograph signings. And he said, yours is the only one I wanted to come to. And it was because our house was theatrical, and it had magic principles in it.
I was going to ask.
And, he was a trip. Let me tell you, he was a mountain of cool information. We asked him if he would do a quick impromptu lecture for our cast. And so we booked a lecture hall at a local university, which they did for free, because we also opened it up to the college. And no college students showed up. So we're like, okay, good, this is just for us.
They didn't realize what they were missing.
No, they didn't realize it at all. So he walks in there, and he's really short, and he stands on a chair, and a theater chair on the arms of the chair, and he's got I think it was a 12-foot long bullwhip, and he said, "All right, guys, we're gonna do something fun here," and he's like whipping this thing around, and he cracks it over the heads of the audience, and nobody gets hit. And we're like, what on earth? This thing was huge. So this guy is an expert swordsman, an expert stuntman, and then he shows us this, and I'm like, I thought somebody was gonna get their eye, poked out or something. It was amazing. And then he talked about his time in Vietnam and how Vietnam is what inspired his work. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. We were getting like the inside dope of Tom Savini, and our jaws were just open. And,
I follow him on Instagram, and to go back to you working out, he was in great shape. He took a 70th birthday party, and he had abs. He was great shape.
Yeah, he's a monster, literally. He came to our haunted house and showed the place. We had a really good reputation regionally, and he had heard about it. I one of the things that we really prided ourselves on was our elevator illusion that we did, where people would go into an elevator. This is a barn. This was a 20,000 square foot barn with a cement floor.
Wow.
And we filled the whole thing. We had 50 actors, and every year it was a different story. So whenever we had the elevator, everybody got excited. And so you would go into a lobby. The door would open, bellhop would show everybody in, and then there would be elevator noise, and the door would open up, and everybody would walk out, and it would be a completely different room. The lobby was gone. And we were able to do this repeatedly by doing it two different ways. One way, we would actually have an entire set on wheels, and we would wheel the entire set over, so when they open up the door, it really is a totally different room.
That's amazing.
And then, until when you're doing a show like that, one time the wheels broke.
Oh.
People were stuck in the elevator.
Just start banging on the walls. That's part of it.
Yeah, we have this giant room that is, we had to get like half the cast members to drag this over so everybody could get out. And I said, okay, well, we got to find a better solution. So the next season, we found that by using lighting effects and ultraviolet paint, we could change the look of the room by turning on, like painting it with ultraviolet paint that you can't see, and then putting on a black light and moving just one wall. One wall would be on a big swinging panel, and it literally changed the room. And so we had effects like that constantly. Like you would walk down a hall, make a turn, and then you would be right back in the same hall again, and you'd have to go back down the entire hall again and go, "Wait, we were just there," and you'd have to go. And so you would repeat this twice, and you would think that you're going to just be in this endless loop, and then you take the same turns, and you come out in a different spot. So we were doing really weird, complicated maze construction that we could change the maze while people were in it, so that we could loop them around if we had a slow night. Or
wow.
Open it up so we could get people to go through a little faster. It was really something. It was a shark show.
Were you guys featured in like the Travel Channel, the Halloween stuff? I feel like I saw something with it. No, okay, all right. Wow, that sounds amazing.
Only locally and regionally.
That sounds amazing. My first real gig as a magician, I was hired to work a farm at Halloween, and I did kitty magic for the school groups going out to get pumpkins during the day, and I had to be cutesy and just a regular kid show. 12,000 kids going on hay rides. I had to entertain the line, and I stood on a stage and just did a loop show. And then at nighttime, I got to work in the field, and I would do scary magic and create illusions for different people. So that's right in my wheelhouse, man. I'm right there with you. I love it. It's in my blood. The place that I worked for my first year, they went all out and they hired Gunnar Hansen, who was Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they hired Kane Hodder, who was Jason in 7 of the 10 movies. And we all went to a bar to promote the club and hang out. And I'm not a big partier, I'm not a big drinker, and I was sitting in the corner doing card magic. And I was hanging out with Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface, and Kane Hodder is a stunt man. He drove his motorcycle 120 miles an hour down the interstate to get there, and he's showing off, and he thinks he's, Arnold. He thinks he's, a big celebrity. And Gunnar and I are just hanging out at the bar, and I'm doing card tricks, and we're surrounded by girls. And he puts his arm around me and says, "Dude, I like you." Because, we just brought the girls to us by doing magic. Everybody swarmed us, and that's one of my favorite memories, and autographs and pictures with me and the guys. It was so awesome. Yeah. But let's turn towards magic, man. We got a little over 30 minutes left. How'd you get started in magic? What is your origin story with magic?
Well, when I was in the 3rd grade, I got a magic set from my uncle, and it was called the Hocus Pocus Magic Set, and the instruction book came in 4 different languages, and I thought that was really cool. So I decided in the 3rd grade to make a career decision. This is what I must do. And I don't think I had ever seen a magician perform up to that point.
Wow.
A live magician. I think I may have seen them on television, but intermittently, I just thought it'd be a cool thing to do. And every year I just learned a little bit more and a little bit more. here we are.
Well, I mean, I know you did college shows. I was stalking you on Facebook, and I saw an old poster for your escape stuff. What kind of stuff have you done through your career in magic? A little bit of everything?
Yeah. Right out of college, my wife and I, we were in the NACA circuit. So for 10 years, we were doing 100 colleges a year.
Wow.
And it was a grueling tour. Grueling. I mean, it was so hard that we took the entire summer off just to recharge our batteries. And 10 years of that was about enough. And we were one of the most popular college acts in the country, and probably the largest at the time. When we left, that's when the Spencers took our spot.
Oh, okay. All right.
And yeah, and he's a friend of mine. But we were kind of he was in it before me, but he didn't have an agent, and I had an agent, and so we were getting. We were kind of chasing each other around, but when we decided to make the leap to leave, then he really exploded because there was just no competition left, and that was really good for him. So yin and yang, it all worked out, and I got into but that's right about when we started our haunted house. Was when I was getting off the road. And then I was doing, the corporate magic and trade shows. And when I joined the fire department after 9/11, I thought, it'd be kind of fun to do a big event for the town. And so I came up with this idea called the Great Escape. And I ran it past my fire chief, and they said, it's kind of funny you say it's the Great Escape, because we have an event that we do. It's called the Great Escape, how to get out of the house. So my first Great Escape was just me raising money for American Cancer Society, and I did it in a pool. And it was 12 feet of water. We had underwater scuba divers projecting what I was doing underwater on a big screen. We had television production crews all over the place, and it was a big deal. And I escaped, and the next year, that's when the fire department got involved, and they said, oh my gosh, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take over the entire fairgrounds. And I'm like, whoa, who's going to do all this? So yeah, we're going to have helicopters there doing rescues. And I'm like, what? Yeah, we'll do it all around you, and then you'll be the last thing. And I'm like, this is amazing.
Wow.
So we had, I think, 10 fire companies there, and they were all teaching kids how to get out of fire situations, and they were making it fun. There was clowns around. And while all that activity was going on, helicopters, going up and doing all these repelling rescues and this and that, I was prepping our infield of the fairgrounds, and we had a Mercedes-Benz hanging on a rope. And for the grand finale, I was supposed to be put into a burning coffin, and the Mercedes-Benz was suspended on a rope on a big, big crane. So they set the rope on fire, and when the rope burns through, the car would crash through the burning coffin if I didn't get out in time, and I'd be dead in front of everybody. But of course that didn't happen. I escaped from the coffin, and I rappelled right in front of the audience. There was a crane above, 90 feet above the crowd. They couldn't see me. And so I climbed up to the top of that, and I had one of my, a lieutenant who was the rappelling guy. He knew all the rappelling stuff. And we had trained for that moment. And it's in the middle of the night. You know, it's just like 9 o'clock at night, and it's, you know, the fire is going, and the people are screaming because the car crashed through. And Stuart's not out yet. The firefighters are trying to put the flames out of the car and the coffin, and he's not around. And then I literally jumped off of the tower and rappelled down in front of everybody. The moment that I don't think I've ever told anybody is that right before I was going to jump, the lieutenant said, "Wait," and I had to catch myself.
Oh, gosh.
90 feet in the air, he had forgotten to not forget. He just hadn't buckled me in yet.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh.
Are you? Yeah, and all our adrenaline was going. He just had this one. I was buckled in, but there was a safety line that he had to do to make it all, kosher and everything.
Oh, my gosh.
No.
And he's looking at the flames in the car and getting caught up in the moment and forgetting about you jumping. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was all right. It was fine. But, you know, rappelling down in front of everybody was probably the biggest, coolest moment I think I've ever had in Magic was that.
You said that, and you said you've never told anybody, and I literally feel like I got punched in the gut, man. I can't imagine. Are these on YouTube or anything? Can you see these videos anywhere?
Unfortunately, the car one is not available. That footage somehow got lost. I don't know why.
Probably because the lieutenant didn't want everybody knowing that he almost killed you.
No. The underwater footage, though, is online. You can see that. If you go Stuart MacDonald Underwater Estates, you should be able to find it.
Wow, dude, this is so awesome. So, fellow Fool Us winner, how was your Fool Us experience? When you throw your hands in the air and you celebrate, it's magical. I can watch it every time. I love your reaction when you fooled them.
Well, you fooled them too.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Here's the reason why the reaction was the way it was, because my wife Lori was in the audience, and I was the last performer of the day, and you know how it is. It's a long, long day.
Yep.
Of filming, and this audience had been there forever, but there was just something in the air, and I don't know what it was, but I got my act set up, and the music started playing. Well, the guy before me, he kept screwing up, and then he kept filming over and over and over and over, and then it was my turn. So I got set up, and I came around from behind my mirror with my candle, and they said, "Stop. I'm like, "What?" They said, "We have the wrong music track."
Oh.
And I go, and so I did something weird. I walked backward, like in reverse, and the audience laughed. And for some reason, that kind of got them on my side. But It was just like, okay, this guy's unfazed. So they started it up again, and I did the act. And nobody had ever seen anything like that on the show. And the audience just went nuts. You can't capture that on the air, but clearly they went crazy. I told Lori, I said, was that, did they fake that? Did they, add applause or something, or have applause signs? She said, no, the audience was with you the whole time. And I go, really? That was just
That's great.
outstanding.
That's great.
And
wow.
then, now the reason behind me going yes when I won is because I've never won anything that significant before. Never. For me, getting first place was never a thing. It was always second. It's like, there's always somebody better than me.
What about your IBM and SAM stuff? Is that later, or you got
that
sick?
was later.
Okay.
That was later.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when they said, "You fooled us," I mean, "Fool Us" is like one of those shows. It's like you're just lucky to be on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then to win is another lucky thing to happen. And I just was like, I couldn't believe it. It was like I was in the third grade again, going, "Yes, I'm really a magician. And I've been validated after all of this time." And that's why the reaction was so sincere. It was not faked at all. I couldn't control it. It just happened. Boom. And even Allison, if you watch her reaction is as big as mine. It's like we were, everybody was just charged up. And when I walked off stage, I was surrounded by the entire crew, 60 people. They were just like, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing." And I'm like, "Don't you guys have something else to do?" But they were just all like, and then Penn and Teller came out and talked to me, and Allison said, was talking to me, and I asked her if she could sign my magic book, the one that was the prop on stage.
Wow.
And I, absolutely. So she signed it, Penn signed it, and Teller signed it. It was something.
That's not the one you use now, though. Did you create another one, or you still bring that one on the road with you?
The book?
Yeah.
No, I've gone through 3 books.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay. No, 'cause I saw your lecture at MAES, and it was, when you say that you filmed it 90 times to try to get, a little % better every time, that's the kind of dedication in that documentary, that bodybuilding documentary that you have. I mean, to me, that sounds crazy. I just asked my wife, "Does that look all right?" "All right, cool. Let's go. Let's try it out on stage, and we'll see, and then we'll critique it then." And you're filming it 90 different times, watching it, trying to nitpick yourself. It's hard to nitpick yourself, man.
Yeah, it was, the goal was 100 times in 30 days. And I got sick. So I think I was 96 times or 98, or I didn't quite hit 100, but it was, the idea was, can I improve just one thing and call that a percentage point? And it didn't matter what it was. And the difference from, day 1 to day 30 was unbelievable, the difference. And the act now is almost unrecognizable from the way you see it on Penn and Teller. It's so much better.
Well,
so much better.
I have your lecture notes, and they are fantastic. And you go through there and explain what you did and what changes you made and things. And those lecture notes, I mean, it would be totally different now then. Your act would be even more different. But are those notes still available?
Yeah.
We have magicians and non-magician our listeners. Would the magicians still be able to get your notes?
Yeah, you can. Go to my website, and I believe you can purchase my notes off of my website still. And that's StuartMacDonaldMagic.com.
Stuart MacDonald Magic, okay. Wow. All right, so after you win Penn and Teller, you're on top of the world. Then you competed in IBM SAM the same year?
Yeah. So that was, Penn and Teller was March, so I had to keep my mouth shut, and then...
that was the hardest part. That was awful.
Yeah, it was terrible. And the thing was, my entire goal was to compete in FISM. Fool Us just kind of came up on me. It's like, "You want to be on Fool Us?" It's like, "Sure, of course I do." And they were in the middle of this process of me pulling together my act for the qualifier. You can't go to FISM unless you've qualified in the FISM North America Championships. And that was in Louisville that year, 2017, I believe it was. And so I competed, and went wrong, and it was, I was really upset. My act was ready to go. I just worked so hard on it, but they said nobody can help you set up. And I'm like, yeah, but we have to put down this mat to catch all the stuff that falls on the floor. Well, I mean, I had things stuffed up my sleeve. I had all this other stuff that needed to be preset. And I had a mirror to put out there. I had a table to put out there. And I was so worried about that mat that I had placed my mirror in front of my table and supposed to be slightly behind my table. Threw off a whole bunch of stuff. But I kept my cool. And I ended up having to pick up the mirror after my wand act and set it back. Your listeners will probably go, "What the hell is he talking about?"
No, I'm following you though. Did the audience even know you messed up though?
No, probably not, because I got a standing ovation.
Awesome.
But the problem is that when I was done, I was like, in FISM, that would almost be a disqualification. Just like, because for about 3 minutes, about half of the front row couldn't see what I was doing because it was blocked by the mirror. And judges were sitting in that area. So what ended up happening is that I didn't win FISM North America Championship. So that was the first competition. So then we go into the second competition, which was the IBM SAM. And I had everything set up correctly. and I was really loose and cool, and everything was fine. And I did something that nobody had ever done before. I won everything.
Wow.
I mean, I had so many awards. It was crazy. I had first place stage for SAM, first place stage IBM. I had the Originality Award. I had the Silver Award of Merit. And I had the People's Choice Award. So I got everything except FISM North America, which was the weirdest thing. So after that was over with, I was like, why didn't I win that one? It's like, because of the mirror. Okay. So that was that. And then just to add another thing about the weird thing about that competition was since 2014, I had 2 magicians that I was going to use as guideposts. And that was Lance Burton for technique and Veronin for acting. And I studied them, and they didn't know that I was studying them relentlessly. Every day, I would watch them, deconstruct their act, watch them, then I would do my act, watch them. And in 2017, both of them were in the audience watching me compete.
Wow.
And that was just a random thing that I did years and years before, 3 years before. Crazy.
That is so awesome.
So, yeah, the universe, right?
That's amazing. So your newest project you have now, I want to get to Richard Preston. Are you still doing Richard Preston?
Oh, absolutely.
So
love that guy.
we have 12 minutes. I want to talk about Richard Preston and your newest TV appearance. So take over. Go for it.
Oh, okay. Well, Richard Preston was born of the pandemic. I was called upon by a local theater to do a Zoom show for him, and I said, I don't have a Zoom show. He said, just do your magic show. And I go, it should be interactive. We can do better. And so I started practicing and filming, and I found myself to be completely boring as me. And I'm like, this is not going well. So I put together a small team, and one of the people in my team said, hey, did you build that as a set? that's behind you? And it's like, no, that's my house. It's a mid-century modern house. It's got, the typical limestone fireplace. And he goes, why don't you make this a mid-century modern kind of act? And I go, oh my gosh. And I saw the whole thing flash before my eyes. And I'm like, let's make this guy Richard Preston. He was frozen in 1962 because they thought that there was going to be a world war. Back then it was the ignition of the Cold War for nuclear war. And he was supposed to be the first entertainer on Mars in 2062. But then the pandemic hit, and they unfroze him to bring the world back together because he was the most beloved entertainer in the world. And he was so beloved, he won Man of the Century before the end of the century. That's because they said nobody's going to be better than Richard Preston. So I made him up to be this world-class guy, and I even made a documentary film about Richard Preston that I show before the show starts. And so we started writing everything that we could. There was 1962 references, and then I started putting me in an Ed Sullivan show, and then I started editing me in interacting with Dean Martin and Danny Kaye. It's just some really fun stuff that we were doing, and Richard Preston became a thing. And I'm not doing magic that's setting the magic world on fire. It's all old stuff, but it's the jokes that people love. They're just old dad jokes.
I was following along on Facebook, and there was something new every single week with Richard Preston, and I felt like I was following Richard Preston, not Stuart MacDonald. It was he had a life of his own,
oh, yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and he just took off. People really liked him, and Germany seems to like him. I've already done 2 shows for the same group in Germany over Zoom. They said, Richard Preston was so good, we want to have him back. And I'm like, the same show? They said, we don't care. We just want Richard Preston.
That's awesome.
Like,
you're like Hasselhoff. You're you're big in Germany.
Exactly.
Or Richard Preston is.
Preston.
Wow. Does Richard Preston ever take your wife out to dinner? That would be great.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that I've always had my head, like since about 2005, I've shaved my head, and to make Richard Preston, I told Lori, I said, I got to have a wig. I said, I have to have something. And her great uncle used to be a toupee maker in Detroit. And when he died, the family acquired all of his unsold merchandise. And so we found these toupees made with human hair from 1960. And this one matched my hair perfectly. And so now I have to grow my hair out, and I've got that horseshoe head.
Okay.
and without that toupee, I look like crap. I just look like a horrible human being. So I'm wearing a baseball hat all the time. But when I put that toupee on, it mixes in with my hair so seamlessly, nobody knows.
I thought it was a wig. I thought it was a full wig. I didn't know it was just a toupee.
No.
Wow, it does blend in perfect.
Yeah, that's right. My real hair is on the side. It's just the thing on the top. And it's a fun gig because Richard, the reason how it came about is that during the pandemic, the political atmosphere and the even the socioeconomic, everything atmosphere didn't seem to have anybody in charge. There seemed to be that there was no adult in the room, from the White House all the way down through the medical community, through your local mayor, to everybody. Everybody had their own opinion. The newscasters, it was just like free for all. And I thought, you know what? We need, and I heard it over and over again, we need Walter Cronkite. He would be the guy that would tell us the truth, you know? And I was like, wow, Richard Preston is going to be the only adult in the room.
Wow.
And Richard Preston became that, and I think that's the reason why he took off, is because he was the adult in the room. Because when we were growing up, whenever you saw an adult on a television show, they always had the answers. They always were in control. No matter how wacky the situation was, Dad always had it in control, or Mom always had it under control. The adults knew what was going on. And during the height of the pandemic, nobody knew what was going on. But Richard did. And I think that's the comfort that I don't know how many times I could tell you that people said that you took me back to a time when I felt the most happy. You took me all the way back to 1960 when I was a kid.
Dude, that's
I heard
awesome.
that over and over and over.
That's what entertainment's about, man. Take them out of their world. Take them out of whatever they have going on right now. And you did that. That's what it's all about, man. That's awesome. We have like
what was the other thing
we have like 4 minutes.
Talk about?
Your new television appearance. You filmed something a little sneaky that you wanted to promote?
Yeah, it's Masters of Illusion. It's been a TV series for, I think, many years now. Going over a decade, I think. But I got a call. They said, "Yeah, you want to be on the show?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I'm on as two people. I'm on as Stuart MacDonald, and I'm on as Richard Preston.
Oh, that's
Richard
awesome.
Preston, which is the craziest thing. Richard Preston is barely a year old.
And he's already on Masters of Illusion.
Yeah, he's already on TV. Stuart MacDonald's been around for a long time, and he's just now, getting on TV. And it's like Richard just like walks into the room. It's like, yeah, he is the world's greatest entertainer. It's like, man, this guy is taking over. It's pretty funny.
That's awesome.
It's pretty funny.
So, the only critique people have for the Masters of Illusion is the editing. Are they going to be able to set him up properly? Have you talked to anybody about setting him up? Or are they really going to think he's another performer just walking out?
I don't know.
We'll find out.
There was a funny thing. I was telling everybody, it's like, okay, I know you introduced me for the last 2 bits as Stuart MacDonald, but please introduce me as Richard Preston, because clearly I look different now, right? Yeah. They go, yep, you're Richard Preston. And then the stage manager comes up, says, Richard Preston, you're now ready to go on. So I go on, and over the loudspeaker you hear, hello, ladies and gentlemen, Stuart MacDonald.
Oh.
And no, it's pretty funny because I was Richard Preston, and Richard Preston corrected them. Not
Nice.
Stuart MacDonald. and Richard Preston voice again. Actually, I'm Richard Preston, the world's greatest magician. I don't know who Stuart is, and I think they kept it.
Oh, cool.
So,
Cool.
I don't know. We'll find out. But their editing is strange. Yes.
Do you know when they're going to air? Have you heard any times, dates?
I'm on 4 segments, so I think the season starts in August. So
Okay.
keep an eye.
All right, guys. That was Stuart MacDonald, a.k.a. Richard Preston. Guys, amazing. You were awesome, Stuart. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being awesome. Thank you for sending me the links to that documentary. My wife and I were both blown away. We felt like we went through that with you, man. Awesome. Thank you for everything. What is your Stuart MacDonald? StuartMacDonaldMagic.com is your website. What is your Twitter or Facebook, anything like that? Instagram?
I don't know. Just look up Stuart MacDonald, MacDonald, and try to find me. I don't know what those addresses are. I never memorized them.
I'll put the links on my Twitter. That's fine. I'll put it up. Stuart, you were awesome, man. Stay on the line. Thank you for everything. Tonight on Jewel TV, they're re-airing episode 3 from season 2 called Settling into Quarantine. Jewel TV is on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, the Jewel TV app, and tons of other places. It's in over 100 million households. All you have to do is look for it. You can find it. See you next week. Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by Express Copy and Graphics. Mention promo code Wes Iseli to get 10% off. Their website is expresscopy.com. That's XPRESS-COPY.com. They do it all. Copies, banners, signs, vehicle wraps, promo items, practically anything you need printed, they can do it for you. These guys are great. Check them out. Check us out online at wesiseli.com and patreon.com/Wes_Iseli for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.